During a speech on Sunday, former President Donald Trump engaged in a rather morbid game of would you rather.
But if I'm sitting down and that boat's going down and I'm on top of a battery and the water starts flooding in, I'm getting concerned. But then I look 10 yards to my left and there's a shark over there. So I have a choice of electrocution or shark. You know what I'm going to take? Electrocution. I will take electrocution every single time. Do we agree? Yeah, I will take electrocution.
Okay, for a moment, let's think about this. Other than the complete absurdity that this was part of a political rally in Iowa. Okay, let's think about it. Would you rather die by electrocution or get eaten alive by a shark? Both are bad. There's no doubt about that. Now, Trump, he takes what seems to be the better choice here in that scenario. But is it, though? That's kind of curious, right? Now, look, considering how rare shark attacks are, you could potentially survive that situation because just because there's a shark there doesn't mean that they're automatically going to attack you. Okay? And I'll give you the numbers on this. In the United States, even considering people who, only people who go to beaches, right? A person's chance of getting attacked by a shark is 1 in 11.5 million. And a person's chance of getting killed by a shark is less than 1 in 264.1 million. So, I mean, in that scenario, yeah, you chance it. You don't get electrocuted. You chance it. And again, I don't even know how this entire situation would even come to pass. But still, I would want to live. Now, again, this is a very strange conversation to be having because what does it have to do with anything? I don't know. I have no idea. Apparently, this started with Trump criticizing batteries in electric vehicles. Are there legitimate concerns of EVs? Yeah, of course. For one, the materials used to build them. One of the main components here is lithium. Lithium is rare, and there's a huge environmental impact when you mine for lithium. Okay? That impact, of course, can be very devastating on the local environment. Now, there's also a lack of charging stations nationwide that run on renewable energy sources. You can go on, right? There are those issues, but you know what? Some of those are problems that can be addressed with better technology, investments in infrastructure. Certainly, the Democrats have been trying to invest in more of that infrastructure, and also they should look into doing more, public transportation that runs on clean energy. But overall, even with these problems, I think EVs are less destructive than the usage and abstraction of fossil fuels. So I think that what this rant is just part of an effort to try to say, no, EV's bad. It's another extension of him fighting against windmills and other forms of renewable energy. He just hates them because he's paid to hate them. But none of the things that I talked about had anything to do with sharks, so how did we get to this point? Again, I kind of have no idea. I think this is how his brain works, where he just goes from one thing to the next. It's a stream of consciousness, which is actually pretty entertaining.
Person, woman, man, camera, TV.
But something I gotta note here, and just looking up this stuff, look, I'm guessing shark attacks are on his mind a lot. Okay? Back in 2018, Stormy Daniels had once told Anderson Cooper about the time that Trump had her watch Shark Week. They were supposed to be in some sort of meeting to get her on The Apprentice, which never happened. But she told Cooper, quote, "I remember arriving and he was watching Shark Week. He made me sit and watch an entire documentary about shark attacks." Again, it's super random, right? But now, of course, it's not Shark Week. That happened back in July. But understand, this is how his brain works. He watched that and he's like, oh my God, shark attack. The worst. Sharks, very terrible, very scary. If there's a shark near me, I would rather be electrocuted. I'm just saying. But again, it's super rare. Now, that said, the irony here is electrical hazards. Electrocution is actually much more common. It actually causes more than 300 deaths and 4,000 injuries a year among the U.S. workforce. I already read you the stats on how rare shark attacks are, especially ones that end in a person's death. So it turns out electrocution is actually the 6th leading cause of workplace deaths in this country. You are more likely to be electrocuted at work than you are to be eaten by a shark. And again, regardless, both ways are really bad to go. But electrocution, also not good. Depending on the amount of current, the duration, and the said flow of the current, you could either feel nothing or be in what seems to be agony for, a long time. Again, because everything kind of slows down as your insides get literally cooked and you are paralyzed. And so, I don't know. It sounds bad. Both of them really, really horrible. I would choose none. So that said, I wonder if someone would sit Trump down and have him watch a documentary, if some documentary exists or something, right, on electrocution deaths, if that would change his mind. Again, I know from recent reports that I've talked about before that Trump generally listens to the last person in the room. So if someone comes in and says, hey, oh my God, did you know these facts about being electrocuted and how horrible it is? I wonder if that will get him to change his mind on sharks. I know it doesn't mean anything, doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But again, it's this really fascinating insight into the mind of Trump.